Hi everyone, this is The Colors of Gaming. I'm Red.
And I am Orange.
And we're here to discuss Gone Home.
Okay, Red, why did you have me play Gone Home?
Well, it came out in 2013, and around the time that it came out, there was a huge controversy. And I thought, now that the smoke has settled, me and you would just try it out and see if we think it's as terrible or as good as everybody says it is.
And do you think it's as good as everybody says it is?
Fuck no.
No, it was not good.
Would you say that this is your game of the decade?
No, I'd say it's my last game of the decade. I don't think I'd see myself playing this ever again.
Technically speaking, it's a functional game, wouldn't you say?
I would say it's a functional game. It works like you would think it would work, but there's no point to it.
You just are popped into this house and you don't know really anything except for that you just got back from a trip. Were you interested in finding out the mystery behind this house?
Yeah, at the beginning, you show up to your house. There's a rainstorm outside. You just got home with your luggage next to you, so you don't know what's in the house. You've never been there. I don't even think you've ever lived there.
No, it's a new house.
That's interesting, and nobody's home. So that's the second part that makes it interesting to me. And then you get into the house. For me, it wasn't what I first expected.
What did you expect from this game?
What I expected was something scary. I thought something spooky would be happening, but you go in and it's not that way.
Would you have preferred this to be a horror game?
I think that would have made a lot more sense from the start, but after playing the game, I don't think they could have told the story that they wanted to through a horror setting.
And that kind of is where this really begs the question, would you call this a game?
No, I don't think it's a game because you cannot lose.
There's no fail state. All you're going to be doing in this house is looking around, looking at different objects, looking at pieces of paper and notes, and learning about what happened before you got there. Now, I picked this game mainly for Orange because I know that he's a big fan of the simulator genre that's a little bit slower, and I also know that he does enjoy games that are more atmospheric, sort of like BioShock. Would you say that the atmosphere worked for this game?
I think the rain outside and the dark everything makes you not want to leave the house. That's just kind of a natural feeling when it rains in real life. You don't want to go out there, and so you're not interested in leaving the house. So I think the atmosphere fits the game.
Personally, the atmosphere did fit for probably the first 10 minutes. And then I think that I just started to become incredibly bored and I didn't care anymore because I realized nothing was going to happen in this house.
Yeah, like a rainy day, I wanted to go to bed. I was done.
You just wanted to conk out.
Yeah.
It does tell this story between these two women and they fall in love, and it's a love story. And I think that's what the main draw of the game is just trying to find out this mystery of what happened to your sister and what happened between her and her relationship. Did you find that interesting at all?
Bits and pieces of it I found interesting. I think some of it was cliched. It's a teenage love story, and I think those are just natural with those kinds of stories.
I actually didn't find any of it interesting. As soon as you're put on the front porch, I just knew exactly what was going on. I knew that the sister had, spoiler alert, run away and is never going to be back. I knew that something bad had happened. Honestly, the first time I had played this game, I thought it was going to be much worse, which made me excited. But once you hit the end, there's just absolutely nothing to be excited about. There's nothing interesting about this story, in my opinion.
I thought Lonnie was an interesting character, and that was on purpose. They wanted to make her an interesting character. Sam wasn't. Sam seemed almost impressed by anything. Lonnie was definitely the person to look at in the story. Not even the main character you play as, Katie, someone that came home from traveling the world.
We don't even know anything about
Nothing
Katie.
about her, but she traveled the world. That's all we know. Her mother has no story in the game. I think her mother, we found one letter.
Yeah, she has two dicks in her.
Yeah, basically, she's in love with the forest ranger, or that's what it sounds like. And then the father, they kind of make him out to be a crazy conspiracy theorist and a failed writer, which is silly for this game. But they had interesting characters, but they weren't written well.
There was some kernel of interest in there. There was some ideas that I could see, like, all these characters have flaws. My problem is, I don't think any of the characters are likable. Lonnie is sort of likable because we get to know her the most, but I don't like Sam. I don't like the dad. I don't like the mom. I don't like the main character. I don't understand why we're with these characters when we're not even with them.
We could have played through the game as a dog and it would have been the same experience. Running around the room picking things up is mostly how you played this game. I can't see people approaching this game logically and going room by room inspecting for clues because you don't know the clues and you know nothing about the characters you play as.
If you were to pick up everything, which I think is what the developers want you to do, you get so much random bullshit that doesn't matter. I don't need to know that the mom takes an hour and 15 minutes to get to her fucking job. I don't need to know that Sam had some kind of period.
That story was strange. That was a very strange story about a character having a period, not Sam. Having her period, and all the while, bombs are dropping and are killing what sounds like her sperm donor in this horrific event, and the only thing that the character who's menstruating, the only thing she's worried about is that she doesn't have a sperm for her egg. It was really weird, and it doesn't make sense for that story. We don't need to know what Sam's homework is and what she's doing about it. We don't need to know these things.
That's not what's important in this story. You would think it would be the love story.
You would think so.
But it's cluttered with all of this stupid shit that doesn't even matter. One thing that I think is really dumb is at the very beginning of the game, you find this combination for the file cabinet. Once you get the file cabinet combination, you expect to get something super cool out of that, but all you find is the will for Uncle Oscar, which goes on for, I want to say, 5 pages when you understood it from the first paragraph.
You can open the 2 other cabinets below the one you unlock, and neither of those have anything in them that you can look at. So you expect almost the same thing, and you're rewarded with almost no information except for who Oscar is, and he must be a distant relative.
Do you think a game like this could work?
As a movie or a short story, I think it would work better. I don't even think it really needs a visual approach. I think it would work better as a novel, and I don't know why they didn't go that route with all the writing that they've done in the game. You pick up pieces and pages of a story. Why not just write it?
This plot is just inherently uninteresting because you play as a character that has nothing to do with the main story. They weren't around when it happened, so I don't understand why we're playing as that character. Why can't we play as, like, Sam?
Or Lonnie. That would have been an interesting story.
One thing I do like about Lonnie that we haven't mentioned yet is I like that Lonnie is kind of a contradictory character. I actually like that she's a punk character that hates authority but then joins the military. And I think that's cool because it feels real. I've met people that I could see like that.
They don't really tell you why she gets to that point, though. You're told that Lonnie has been wanting to join the military since she was in elementary, and then it seems like she finds punk music in high school and junior high. I would have thought that maybe punk music would have convinced her out of the military, but it seems like it only reinforced her thoughts on the military, and then you find a page describing her rankings within the JROTC, which is saying, like, the first rank, I can't remember, says, I'm a certified explorer. They trust me to go look for things. The second one is, I'm a killing machine. I didn't think that was appropriate for the punk rock character to be the killing machine.
You listen to people like the famous Dead Kennedys, and they're constantly talking about the military-industrial complex and how much they hate them. You would think that Lonnie, being this much into punk, would have heard those kind of messages. I do find that kind of interesting, and I like that contradiction, but it sounds like you don't.
I don't like it. They didn't tell us enough about Lonnie to make that something understandable. I don't really believe it too much.
Personally, I found Sam. I found her incredibly unlikable, and the reason being is she didn't really have any kind of morals or anything to give her a character other than to be a love interest for Lonnie. I also thought the way that she treated her friend who allowed her to borrow these Nintendo games was really bitchy.
Yeah, Sam's character is an idiot because the whole time, like you said, she doesn't have an opinion, and so it's all just Lonnie leaving these impressions on her that does things for her. She only has an interest in video games, it seems like, because of her friend. She's only got an interest in punk music, it seems like, because of her friend Lonnie, and then that's really about it for her interest. She doesn't do anything else besides make artwork with Lonnie, and Lonnie's the kind of person I'd imagine leading this kind of thing. She seems to be the creative mind. Sam doesn't seem to be smart at all. That kind of sucks from a storytelling standpoint.
Do you think that if she was more intelligent, you would have gotten invested in this story?
No, I don't think I would be more invested in the story because the story isn't good, and it doesn't matter.
This story has no conflict. There is the conflict that the parents don't really like the relationship that her and Lonnie have, but there's not enough there for you to feel that there is a pressing threat that would stop these two characters from really seeing each other. They do allude to the idea that maybe the dad is thinking about sending Sam to some religious camp. It wasn't expanded upon enough for me, though, to really feel that tension or some kind of urgency for Sam and Lonnie to get out of that house.
I would say the story does have a little bit of contention at the the end where we find out that Lonnie has been wanting to join the military for a long time and that she's going to do it. But as we know, that's resolved with it just not happening. It is a happy ending for Sam and Lonnie. For the rest of the family, who knows, but it's not presented that way. You hear Sam's overenjoyment. No, there's really not contention or arguments or anything that happened in this story that makes it interesting. It's sort of a linear path upward to the end. No climax.
Yeah,
though.
there's no climax, no rising action, no rising tension. We hear these audio logs of Sam talking about her memories and things that have happened. None of them have her super upset. We don't hear her cry or anything. One question that I was going to ask you was, if the presentation was a little bit better, do you think you would like this more?
Well, how could they present it different?
An example is, I feel like that the presentation sometimes came off as, and I hate this word, but cringy. For example, with the giggles.
I don't think it's a story that had to be set in the 1990s, and the giggling and the voices, that was kind of cringy sometimes when you have to hear that. You're not as excited for the character as maybe the author of this game is.
Do you think you could ever... And that's when she kissed me.
I don't think there's a lot in the way of visual media that they could have done with this game to make it better. I think this game is the peak of what it is and can be, but I think it's unnecessary that it's a game or a visual presentation. I think it could just be a book.
Notice, viewers, that we have not once brought up the gameplay because there's really nothing there.
There's turning on lights, there's picking up objects, and there's looking at your map. That's about it. There's plenty of inventory slots, but you don't need to fill those inventory slots to beat the game. You can get at least half the items or less, and you can finish the game.
I would also like to mention that there are no puzzles.
No puzzles actually. Even if there's a secret entrance, there's a photograph that shows you what you need to be looking at to get to these secret panels, and if that's not enough help, there's a picture in your map showing you exactly where you can find the entrances to these secret passageways, some of which I even found accidentally. They're not that hard to find.
Once you get that map, too, you don't even need to look at the map because everything that you look at lights up as soon as you can interact with it.
Once you've reached the trigger in which you can use it, you can go through it. I'd say you could finish this game in 10 minutes if you just know how to hit the triggers, and the only thing keeping that game being 10 minutes long is you have to walk, and it's painfully slow.
There's nothing going on. There's picking up items that have nothing to do, like condoms. What is the point of this? I don't understand.
I don't understand it either. I mean, there's other games out there where you can pick things up. Half-Life, which I've just replayed, is one of those games where you can pick up a coffee mug, drop it, and it breaks. But hey, at least it actually did something when I picked it up. It broke. There's things like that where it's okay that you can put that shit in your game, but part of this game is picking things up to figure out what's next. And so you end up picking up everything in the game. Maybe you shouldn't be allowed to pick up all that shit because you don't need to.
How long were you able to play this game without becoming bored?
Picking up items is what made it fun after about 10 minutes.
Yeah, after that 10 minutes, you just want to put it down.
Yeah, so maybe they should leave picking up items in a game like this because that's about all there is to do.
It's the only mechanic here.
After about 10 minutes, it's the only mechanic of picking things up.
One thing that I do enjoy about this game is I do kind of enjoy this idea of Uncle Oscar, who's this crazy uncle that I think committed suicide. They don't really tell you. He has created these secret passageways in his house, and he has like these old newspaper things everywhere. He seems to be a Jesus freak. I like this idea of this ghost and Uncle Oscar being crazy, maybe finding buried treasure in his house or something, but the game never goes that far. It never does anything with any of this.
Sam and Lonnie just kind of fuck with his ghost, and he doesn't even finish what he's saying. You find that where they're using the Ouija board in that tucked away room. That's about as far as Oscar's stories go, is an unfinished sentence from another life. That's kind of unfortunate, but they seem to do this a lot with, many of the characters they have. There's not a lot of them, and they don't really tell you much about them.
There's no real story with the majority of these characters. There's no arc.
We learn about our park ranger, and we learn that he's probably handsome and strong, and that's it. He's just a park ranger.
Mom is fucking park ranger. That's about it. That's her character. That's all she does.
And that's not even confirmed. They didn't even tell you that story.
Then the dad is a failed writer. I mean, that's barely a character. There's no arc or anything. I think the word worst part about this game, and the thing that disappointed me the absolute most, is that they build up the attic like you're gonna learn this crazy thing. It's gonna be insane. This is gonna blow your mind.
I was expecting like Skyrim, Black Sacrament kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna orgasm with excitement. What do you learn? You learn that they're together.
But you figured the whole time.
You knew that from probably the very beginning of the game. So I would say within the first 10 minutes of this game, you have learned all the information that you need. So I don't understand why this is 2 hours long. I don't understand why this is 10 minutes long. I don't understand why this game exists at all.
I don't think it's for the storytelling that this game exists. I think it's for the new player that doesn't play a lot of video games. I think the point is the ride. Even for someone like me, there were things that I could enjoy on the ride. There's references to bands that I've always liked. Nirvana's in there with Kurt Cobain pictures, and Sonic Youth poster in the basement, which I thought was cool. I think you get to hear these cassettes, and I don't know if they're real bands or not. I don't know if I've heard a lot of them, but the music is not that bad. It's pretty loud for the setting. That makes it off-putting.
That to me is the best part of the game, is the music.
The music and some of those paintings, I believe those are not like stock images. Those paintings are like impressionist art, and I appreciate those too throughout the game. The 90s nostalgia I'm not really that keen on. There wasn't that much of it besides bands. I think a lot of it is for the ride and maybe someone that grew up in this time period. I think for someone female and new to video games.
It's definitely not made for us. With all that said, I don't think I even need to ask this question, but I'm going to anyways. Would you recommend this game?
To my girlfriend or anyone that doesn't play a lot of games.
I personally don't think I would recommend this game. I think I would recommend something like Pokemon or Zelda.
If they're going to be told this way, I hope the future of these types of games doesn't use Gone Home as the pinnacle.
I think that if you're going to make a game like this, the best way to make it is add a little bit of puzzles. If there was just some puzzles, maybe Uncle Oscar, like I said before, has some buried treasure, and that's what Sam and Lonnie use to create their new life. You have to go and find out all these different combinations to find out where the treasure is, and then learn that they ran away in this romantic way, and I think that that would have been 100 times better. I would have been way more interested. I think that this game would have been narratively driven in a really good way, but as it is now, it just leaves you completely feeling hollow.
The house and the people within it should have been used as the mystery and not just Sam's whereabouts. I mean, maybe you could have communed with Oscar. It could have been a fiction work. It could have been many other things, but it wasn't, and I think that they kind of dropped the ball.
I agree. This is The Colors of Gaming, signing out.